App Store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
Listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Monday, 7th day of August, 2017. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had a chance to spend some quality time with your family, but it's a new week and we're all back in the saddle again. All right. Now, if you can't see the chart I have up, two options. Go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions where it says Watch Live Now. Click that. Within 30 seconds, you'll be registered. Not just for today, for the entire month of August. That means from henceforth till the end of the month, you'll be able to join the show each day with one-click access. The other option is to simply go to youtube.com/CFRN, and where it says live, click it once the show starts. Gotta wait for the show to start. Guess what? You will find today's live show. I'm staring at it right now. Now, some of you did go over there and get yourself subscribed, so that's totally cool, because that's what I'd ask you to do, and I appreciate you doing that. But we still need to get it over 1,000. So work with me. If you haven't done it yet, go to youtube.com/CFRN. Click the subscribe button. It won't cost you anything. Won't bother you or aggravate you. but I appreciate it. How about that? Can you do that? Okay. Well, headlines. Wow. Let's talk about for a second the old Bitcoin. Yikes. Companies that make the semiconductors for cryptocurrency mining have been a hot button topic in the investment world, with the fate of their stocks closely tied to the prices of Bitcoin and Ether. Hedge fund Carlson Capital has lost 14.2% this year because of bad short wagers on both Nvidia and advanced micro devices. The meteoric rise of Bitcoin is rippling through financial markets, and not everybody's enjoying the ride. The scorching hot cryptocurrency has tentacles that stretch into many different parts of the investment landscape, and some traders are finding out the hard way how much influence it can wield. Just ask the unfortunate souls who have been trying to short chip makers and learning the hard way that the share prices are closely linked to interest in Bitcoin. The stock of companies like Nvidia and Advanced Micro, which make chips used to mine or produce Bitcoin, a process that involves heaps of computers solving complex equations, have surged alongside the cryptocurrency, destroying the short positions. Short sellers betting against those two companies have lost a combined $1.8 billion this year, as Nvidia has skyrocketed by 57%, AMD has climbed by 16%. The fallout is already beginning. The Dallas-based hedge fund Carlson's Capital $1 billion Black Diamond thematic fund lost 14.2% this year through July, and it blames Bitcoin for the hit. The fund chose chip makers as its top short theme earlier this year, citing high inventories, double ordering, massive supply responses, and actual pockets of weakening demand in smartphones, autos, and the Chinese optical market. Needless to say, that hasn't translated into weak share prices. And now Carlson has an axe to grind with the massively popular cryptocurrencies it sees keeping the space afloat to an unsustainable degree. Bitcoin trading today up $136 per coin at $3,366. Yeah, I know. Take a look at Ether, Ethereum. Just have a look, okay? It hasn't gone crazy yet, but a lot of financial institutions are considering it to be the better solution. Ethereum has been gobbling up market share, surging from 5% of the cryptocurrency market in January to 30% as of June 22nd. In fact, until June, Ether was on track to surpass Bitcoin as the world's largest digital currency. Regardless of whether Bitcoin, Ethereum, or another vehicle strikes your fancy, the process of mining for new blocks requires the same kinds of semiconductors, so as cryptocurrencies go, so do the stock prices of the companies making the chips. Now, will someone find another way to solve these equations? Nah, I don't know. I don't know. A little later in the show, we'll talk about all going on in North Korea. Real quick, let's take a look at the numbers around the world. We'll start with the cash markets here in the U.S. The Dow is currently up 15 points. NASDAQ is up 30. S&P 500 is up 2. And the Russell 2000 is up 2.5. No movers, no shakers. The NASDAQ is up almost 0.5%. In the commodity basket, crude oil down 77 cents, trading 48.81 last. And gold up a dime, trading 1264.70 last. In the Asian markets, the Nikkei closed up 103 points. That's a little over half of 1%. The Shanghai closed up 17.5 points. That's a little over half of 1%. And the Hang Seng closed up 127 points. That's also half of 1%. So in Asia, everything's green. In Europe, markets were mixed. The FTSE closed up 20 points. The DAX was down 40. The CAC was up 4.5. No movers, no shakers. Here at home, everything's green. And the commodity basket is a little mixed, with oil down 80 cents and gold up 30. So those are the numbers from around the world. You know, President Trump, because there's nothing but fake news on TV, with the exception of Fox News, he's launched his own news channel on his Facebook page. And one of the commentators from CNN actually left there to take a job on Trump's Facebook page. North Korea is threatening a thousands-fold revenge against the U.S. for the crippling economic sanctions that we've imposed on them. It was a unanimous vote of NATO last week. We'll talk more about that when we come back. Michael's going to come in right now, give us a recap of everything that happened today in the live training room. The good, the bad, the stuff we don't sweep under the carpet. As you can see from the chart that I have up right now, markets were, for the most part, pretty quiet since the Globex opened last night. We opened at 24.72 1/4, put in a high at 77.5, pulled back into the zone from last week, 74.75, and now we're starting to reach up. And as of yet, on the Concierge Trade Alerts, we have no trigger long or short, not yet, in the S&P 500. Michael, if you're ready, take it away.
Okay, I am ready. Change message. Here we go. So, you should be looking at my screen now.
Got it.
Alright, here we go. Alright, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, the 7th day of August, 2017. Wow, we are all the way into August already. 8th month. We're only 4 months away from the end of the year. I can't believe it went by that fast already. Anyway, it didn't. So, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage here at cfrn.net. And this banner is going to drop down here at the top that says sign up for the live CFRN. Sign up for the CFRN live training room, 100% free trial. Use our indicators and learn our strategy. Click here. When you click there, it's going to bring you to this page that asks for your first name, your email address, and your phone number. If you put all those in, click on register now. You'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay. Once you click that confirmation link, then we'll be sent an email telling us that you actually took the trial. So don't forget to click that link. All right. Let's see, spreadsheet today. We had a green day today, though it was barely green after we stomped out twice on the euro. Today, the 7th day of August, we lost 12 ticks on the euro. We made 13 ticks on crude. That put us plus 55 bucks on the morning. Today it took 74 minutes and 5 trades to get to $105 a contract, and we took a total of 6 trades. On the month now, we're at 856 and a quarter. That's over 5 days, averaging 171 per day. Okay. Net numbers, those of you guys who worry about the commissions, net numbers, if you had an $8 commission, your net would be 416. With a $5 commission, your net would be 581. That is per contract, 2 hours per day. On the year now, $22,391. That's over 146 trading days, averaging 153 per day. 153 per day. Okay. Now, let's jump into what we actually did today. Here in the gold, we did nothing. We had one long trade right here that we missed, and that was it. This is going to be a quick recap. Think about it. Yeah, there was one momentum long trade right here that went 4 ticks into profit and came back down, and there was nothing else in gold. Nothing. All right, in the euro, we started out here on the euro with a +4, and then we stopped out right there. We missed this really nice long trade right here. I didn't get filled on it, but we missed that one right there. And then we stopped out again on the euro. So we had 2 stop outs and 1 win on the euro. But this trade right here, had we gotten it, I think it would have taken out both of those stop outs. Now during the break, there was a short here and a short here. A short in both of those places on the euro. Okay. Crude oil. Now, I'll go back to the beginning. I missed this one right here on crude. Would have been a great trade. I missed that one on crude. I finally got this one for 2 ticks. I missed that, which would have been a break even. Then we picked up 11 ticks right here. This gave us the goal for the day. Okay. Then it got really choppy and sideways, and I was saying it's going to either go up or down. As much as this right here. Okay, so it hasn't gone up that far yet. I didn't know whether it was going to go up or down. I was thinking it was going to go down because we had cycle reset stuff going on over here. But then it started getting all over the BBC, and then right here it was almost given a short if we were trending. But anyway, during the break, after it broke this swing high right here, you could have gone long right there for a few ticks, and right there for a few more. Okay. On the crude, we ended up with +13. Okay. On the soybeans, we had this one opportunity right here, and I said as this green line gets down into the cycle, we should see it get down to the prior swing low and exceed the prior swing low. It put a wick down below the prior swing low, but it didn't close below it, so it did not continue to trend. So that was all that we had there. You could probably say it's trending here and take a long opportunity right here from 66. I'm not doing anything with it. The soybeans were pretty much dead today. We do have the grain report coming out on Thursday this week. All right, so that's a significant report. You have to be aware of that when it comes out on Thursday at noon. You don't want to be in any of the grains. All right, and the ES was just a dog. It gave nothing at all today, again. And you can see how close these zones are, 77 down to 72. So we have 5 points in between the zones. We're gonna have to break away from these zones for it to do anything. And that was it. That was the morning. It was really slow this morning. All right, so back to the spreadsheet. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 7th day of August. Lost 12 on the euro, made 13 on crude, gives us +55 total. Took us 74 minutes and 5 trades to get to the goal for the day, and we took 6 today. So on the month, 856 and a quarter. That's over 5 days, averaging 171 per day. On the year, 22,391. That's over 146 days, averaging 153 per day. Okay, averaging 153 per day. All right, and if you have not taken the free trial, then go here to the home page at CFRN.net, and up here at the very top where it says click here, if you just click there, put in your first name, put in your email address, put in your phone number, click on register now, you'll be sent the confirmation link. Okay, you got to click on that confirmation link. If you don't click the confirmation link, you do not get the free trial. Make sure you click that link. Okay. All right, and that's it. With that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, Studio A, overlooking the nation's largest city park. If you're available, Dwayne.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Do that for Bert. Okay. You can have it back. You know, in the handout section right now, I'm going to put in the rules for our trade setups, and also the rules for the meeting that we're going to have tomorrow. Okay, for those of you guys who are in here who are on the trial or who are partners, if you want to see those screenshots, they are in the handout section right now. Okay, I can see your charts and how flat the day has been.
Yes, it has been, to say the very least, quiet. Yeah. Real quiet. Okie doke. Recap of the recap.
Today it took 74 minutes and 5 trade opportunities to get to $105 per contract.
Good job.
Thank you. And
that's based on one contract, guys.
Yes, one contract, 2 hours.
It'll be like trading one share of stock.
It would be.
Except one share of stock's usually worth, oh, I don't know. It could be worth whatever it's worth. One contract of the S&P 500 at the current price is worth well over $100,000 in S&P 500 best of breed equity. And how much does it cost to own that for the day? $500. We don't risk $500 when we put on a trade in the live training room because we only risk 8 ticks, which is actually $100. Got to put up $500 to make the trade, but the risk, if you're trading the way we trade in the live training room, is $100. You won't find that type of leverage in a legal, legitimate environment with oversight anywhere else. You won't find it in Forex. You won't find it anywhere but in the world of futures. And that's why so many of us have gravitated to this world, known as the world of futures, for that very reason. Okay, Mike Reed going to be joining us here in a few moments, and then after that we'll chat with John. But first, we got to take a look at the North Korea guys. My mic's still too hot, Mike?
Nope, it sounds good now. But I turned things down on my end. But okay, I think it's good.
Any unanswered questions in the chat box?
Not at all.
Okay. Alright. North Korea has threatened to exact thousands-fold revenge on the U.S. for a new round of economic sanctions likely to do serious damage to its economy. Now, we're talking the tune of about $1 billion. In a statement published by state media, the reclusive state called the sanctions a violent infringement of its sovereignty that was caused by a heinous, they used the word heinous U.S. plot to isolate and stifle it. Sounds like a good plan to me. North Korea hit back after the UN imposed the sanctions which were drafted by the U.S. Now again, this was I might have said NATO earlier, I'm sorry, but it was a UN, and it was unanimous, a unanimous UN decision to impose these sanctions. The UN Security Council on Saturday unanimously agreed to ban North Korean exports of coal, iron ore, lead ore, and seafood. The dramatic tone of the response is typical of the North Korean regime, which often makes hyperbolic announcements that are not backed up by its capabilities. It's, like when the little bitty guy says to the big guy, I'm going to kick your, what, and everybody just kind of chuckles. Although, this guy, he could be sly like a fox. So, be careful, world. As well as blocking exports, these new resolutions ban countries from increasing the number of North Korean laborers working abroad and from launching new joint ventures or investments in North Korea. Combined, the new sanctions could slash the state's $3 billion annual export revenue by as much as a third. The latest round of sanctions are meant to pressure North Korea into ending its nuclear program, which we know is not going to happen. The country claimed to have successfully tested its first intercontinental ballistic missile on July 4th, a projectile that experts said could have reached Alaska. 3 weeks later, it tested a missile experts said could reach Chicago or even New York City and Washington, D.C., according to Vox. Nikki Haley, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, called the penalty the most stringent set of sanctions on any country in a generation. She said they would cut deep, and in doing so will give the North Korean leadership a taste of the deprivation they have chosen to inflict on the North Korean people. So, they're going to give him a little taste of his own medicine. U.S. President Donald Trump also praised the passing of the sanctions. While the sanctions are still being drawn up, North Korea denounced the plans as no more than last-ditch efforts by those who are terrified at the series of measures taken by the DPRK in rapid succession to develop a sophisticated nuclear force. It is said the U.S. sanctions had only worked to redouble the indomitable spirit of our army and people closely rallied around the leader and their unfathomable strength of self-reliance and self-development, and increased the DPRK's defense capability. Earlier this month, the U.S. barred citizens from traveling to North Korea as of September 1st, making it the only country U.S. citizens cannot visit. In response, the Korean government said the country would always leave our door wide open to any U.S. citizen who wished to visit the country out of goodwill. So stand by, guys. There's going to be some fireworks. Hey, Mike, I hear you. How you doing, buddy?
Okay. Hi, Dwayne. No, let me cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You betcha.
How you doing today?
Good,
How
man.
you doing?
Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, I'm okay. Well, I guess I got stuff done. Man, I tell you, for August, it was chilly here in 60s, and we just don't get this in August. But anyway, I'm sure we'll get our money or get our heat wave back.
Yeah, we're definitely not done with the heat and the monsoons and the rain and the storms and all the other nasty stuff we get here every summer.
Rain.
But it should be starting to wind down. Well, I don't know. We're just getting into August, so yeah, there could be quite a bit more to go. Our gazebo out back, we had two of them, two gazebos. It just shredded them up like like they were Tinker Toys.
Eh.
And they were pretty sturdy.
Wow.
Yeah. Just twisted the metal and
man, it sounds like something we got here. I mean, I had lost shingles and stuff off of my roof, and I'm gonna need to have them take a good look up there because it looked like a lot of them came off. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, we had some really high winds and a lot when it did rain early, came down. So anyway, so
I told you about Bitcoin when it was $2. How many of those things you got left? Did you keep them all?
I got every one of my bought left, right? That's 0.
Unbelievable, is it not?
No kidding. I mean, I wouldn't know how to get one or get rid of one if I had one.
I think you just got to go to one of the Bitcoin exchanges.
See, that's what I'd have to Google, yes.
Yeah, you just Google it, and it's not difficult. It's something you can do. You can transact online, but yeah, that market's just absolutely, it's insane. That's up like another $170 a coin today.
Wow.
And we used to have audience members that just were infuriated by the fact that we even talked about it because it was so ridiculous and how something like that could never pan out. And I'm not going to say that they talked me out of buying it. I just talked myself out of it, I guess.
Well,
what it amounts
I've done that before.
Yeah. So S&P 500, what's going on?
It's not going with the Dow, that's for sure. That and the Nasdaq still haven't made new all-time highs. The Dow broke out last week. It had a high, I think it was on all the averages made highs together on the 14th, July 14th, and then the Dow broke out over its high on a gaps, and it has had a number of gaps, which is pretty unusual, especially gapping into all-time high territory. But it did, but the S&P can't keep up. It made it to the last resistance before all-time high on Friday morning. But yeah, and underlying the market, it's well, there's like let's see.
And when it popped up there, when it popped up to that new all-time high at 24.77.75, it didn't stick around.
No, it was right down.
Right back down to last week's weekly trading zone, which was 74.75, and the entire day was spent, or the entire session was spent going from zone up to the zone. It spiked up to put in that new high, and then came back down to the zone, and then back up to the zone.
Yeah.
To close out the end of the week right in the middle, right between those two zones.
Right at where we got there's like, I think there's 40% of the stocks are below the S&P stocks. 40% are below their 50-day moving averages.
Mm-hmm.
It's under the surface, so this is like the Dow's almost like a smoke screen. S&P hasn't made a new high. This is the reason why. And I think we have 15% of the stocks in the S&P at 500 are under, or 20% under their 52-week highs. So
what companies are keeping this illusion afloat? This ghost
on the Dow, it's Boeing, Apple, and McDonald's are the big three that brought it up. And most of the others, there might be a couple others lately that have joined in, but that's the majority there. On the way up.
Do you have Netflix? Speaking of McDonald's,
I My son does. I don't have Netflix.
Well, there's a new edition on Netflix. It's called The Founder, and it's not a documentary. Well, it's kind of a documentary, but it's not shot in the documentary style. It's just like a regular movie, but it tells the story of this guy that used to sell milkshake machines, and he wasn't having such a good go of it until he stumbled across this hamburger joint in San Bernardino that had came up with this modernized system that allowed them to take an order from a customer and in 30 seconds put it on the counter. They called it the Speedy system. It was the McDonald brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so taken by that, he, I don't want, you know what? Spoiler alert. I don't want to go any further. It's really good. And
okay.
The whole family can watch it. There's no warnings there. It's called The Founder, and I'm trying to think of the guy's name. He's a really popular actor. Everybody knows him, but I can't think of his name at the moment. But just go on Netflix and search The Founder, and it takes you from Milkshake Man to Burger Mogul, and it's an interesting story. I always kind of knew the story, from a distance, but I didn't know the details. And I know this is TV and it's a movie and there's probably some poetic and dramatic license involved, but I think for the most part we get the real story of what happened. And
do you know when they started up, Dwayne? When they started franchising out? Do you know what the year was?
I don't, but I can find out really quick.
The reason I ask is that...
When did McDonald's first franchise?
According to Wikipedia, 1955, Ray Kroc founds McDonald's Systems, Inc. on March 2nd as a legal structure for his planned franchises.
They've been around for a while.
Kroc opens the 9th McDonald's restaurant in Des Plaines, Illinois, in suburban Chicago on April 15th.
To the West Coast. And my dad, we didn't have a lot of money. My dad would never stop at a restaurant, and McDonald's was a so-called restaurant, but we went into a McDonald's.
Burgers were like 15 cents. You could get a burger and burger, fries, and a Coke for, I think it was 35 cents. And that's all they sold, because they had figured, they used to sell all kinds of stuff, the two McDonald brothers, but they figured out that 85% of their sales were burgers, fries, and soft drinks. And so they did what no one... Now, as a kid, I worked in fast food, so I know what it's like to be back behind the counter and how everything is very exacting. You get 2 squirts of ketchup, 1 squirt of mustard, 2 pickles, not 3, not 1.
That's right.
It's got to be 2. The lettuce has to go on first, and then the onion, and then the tomato. It's a formula, and you got to follow it exactly. But it was the McDonald brothers who first came up with the idea of sort of taking what Henry Ford had done with the automobile and the assembly line, and pushing it into the food services industry. It's really fascinating.
Well, it's a good.
So now, what were you saying, that your dad, you guys didn't stop at restaurants?
We never ever did, and that was I can remember that might have been the first restaurant or so-called restaurant I can ever remember being in. I was probably about 10 years old or something like that.
Were you in San Bernardino?
We were in California, Southern California. I know somewhere. I don't know. We're San Bernardino.
That San Bernardino is in Southern Cal. So,
Well, I don't know if it was there, but I do remember it was it was the Golden Arches, and it was in we were not too far from Anaheim, because I remember we were going to stop at Disneyland on our way out there, but anyhow, but that was my first restaurant experience.
Dale, what was the actor's name that played Ray Kroc? Michael Keaton. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Everybody knows Michael Keaton, and I could not think of that. Thank you, Wayne. Wayne gave me that. Thank you, sir. Yeah, Dell says it was a good movie. The McDonald's brothers got taken. Well, you know, Dell, they did and they didn't. I sat and thought about that for a while at the end of the movie. Again, I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but, I mean, they had one little restaurant which was doing a great business, but then think about what they walked away with at the end. They probably never dreamed that that would happen to them in their lifetime. So I think everybody came out ahead. Ray Kroc came out ahead. I think the McDonald brothers came out ahead.
Oh my! Ray Kroc came out ahead. Yeah, Ray Kroc purchased the Padres, I believe. He was it the Padres? Trying to remember who he owned forever. That's Well, anyways, he owned a professional. It was a Padres. Yeah.
You guys heard me talk last week about McDonald's was really in the real estate business and not the burger business. I had heard that quote in an NPR interview. I did not understand where the foundation behind that statement. After watching this movie, I now understand why that is a true story. So, it's Netflix, guys, which is practically free. And if you have Netflix, then this movie is free. So, go watch it.
Then again, Dwayne, the
founder.
Founder, okay, founder.
The founder.
Yep. All right, got it. All right, I'm put that on the list here, to watch list. There's a show my son is watching called The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah, the world is watching The Walking Dead. Unfortunately, it's not on right now, but he may be getting caught up.
Well, he's getting Julie caught up, and I kind of started watching it myself, and well, I don't know. That's kind of repetitious, but anyways.
Well, if you start at season 1, episode 1, and get to know the characters, that's where the story, banging these zombies in the head. That's really not where the story is. The story is in the characters and in their relationships. That's the deal.
And they started changing a lot, though. I mean, a lot of them got killed. So anyway, we watched quite a bit.
They got to keep it interesting, and But at the end of last season, the team's coming together and rising up, and we'll see.
Right.
We'll see. Okay. The new bad guy used to be the good wife's investigator at her law firm. I had never seen him as an actor before. Saw him on The Good Wife, the final season.
Good one.
And
what actor was that?
Then he popped up. The new bad guy on Walking Dead, Keegan. The Good Wife was it was on for, I don't know, 5-6 years. Great show.
Okay.
Lady attorney, her husband was the what was he? The attorney general in Illinois, I think. Or state's attorney. He had a big. I used to talk about it on the show here all the time, and Bert used to laugh at me. Because his other watched it, and he goes, "So I don't have much choice. I'm sitting there. I got to watch it too."
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how he put it.
The new bad guys.
Here, you and I were going to talk today. Let me just bring up a browser here real quick. And let's go to CFRN.net. I'm glad to see that thing's not flashing like it was the other day. That was odd. Trade Stalker.
My browser does that, and I don't like the way it does that.
Well, mine only does it on the did it the other day on the radio show. I looked over at the monitor, and that thing was blinking like crazy. Dale asked, does Mike still live in Fort Wayne? I live an hour away in Ohio.
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. What a subscription includes each night. I'll email my outlook for the following day on the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100. I include the support and resistance zones that I'll be buying and selling against the following day. We also have a trading room during the day available for all subscription links at no extra charge. See a sample of our daily log. Take our no cost, no obligation 2-week trial. If not 100% satisfied in the first 2 weeks, feel free to cancel. After that, you'll enjoy a month. It's a month subscription. Now, tell me this. Okay. See, I think I had written this up originally for the live subscription, but you had. That's where we might have missed each other.
Yeah,
so if you took this trial, what Mike's going to do, but you're going to do it, is it going to be for a week instead of 2 weeks?
It can be. It was going to be a week, but we could make it 2 weeks, I suppose.
Well, I mean, I can go in and change that to 1 week. Basically, what's happening, guys, is Michael and I got our wires crossed. I put it up as like a live subscription, but in his mind, it was his delayed subscription that people were taking the trial on. Okay? So he's switching that over to the live subscription. So if you haven't taken it, take it.
Okay. Yeah. You get the live one. You get the one that our subscribers will
Going
get
forward, you're going to get the live one, okay? So, maybe in the past, I don't know, you had some difficulty. Now, have you got your report from last night handy there?
Just don't know if I have it a little handy here, Dwayne.
Let me look and see
tell you what
if I got mine.
Yeah, here it is.
Okay, August 6th. Trade Stalkers Trader Update. Okay, so I just want to show people, give them an idea, what this thing looks like.
It's going to look like a lot of reading, but then you go to the bottom couple paragraphs, get the.
Yeah, I'm just trying to situate it so I don't show other people's email address. Okay, so this was written yesterday at 2:25 p.m. Eastern. So basically, he's kind of giving you a rundown on what happened last week. Talks about internals, and now this is where we get into the game plan for the following day. As long as ES does not go over 2480 and hold, the top should be in place. Okay, we haven't hit 2480 yet. So look for early strength to be sold on Monday, and then the first decent pullback should be bought. If the ES gets back above 2475.50, it will need to quickly turn down or else keep on going to test or break through the 2478 major bounce resistance area. If there's a lower open or selling from higher prices, the ES will need to hold over the 71/7050 area, which has been a pivotal area over the last 2 days. If that does not hold, then the market can still avoid trouble as long as the ES doesn't break the 2467.66 support area by much before turning up with a bit of momentum. This is what to look for in the early going on Monday. Watch these areas for reversals, targets, and possibly old support becoming new resistance or vice versa if there's a decent trend. Okay. These are the S&P numbers, NASDAQ numbers. Now, what comments would you like to make? This so everybody sees the email that you sent out to the subscribers last night. So now, let's go look at a chart, and maybe you can break that down. And how did the market play out in relation to how you had emailed folks last night?
Okay. We were looking for a turn in the by 10 a.m. this morning. I put that as an update, and they did go to 75 3/4, so they went over 75.5 by 1 tick and turned down. So that was a shorting opportunity to sell early strength around 75.5. Pullback wasn't much. It's slow. They just matched the low, the early low on. If you exclude globebacks and just use the day session chart, we had a 73 low, and they matched that and turned up. So that would have been once they turned up, I would be getting out. And it's been slow. They did take out 75.5 and held it now this afternoon. And I told them before I left that if we did that, we still have an open door to go up to 77, 78. This is what we're not quite there yet by a half point, but it's not moving very fast, Wayne. So if we had some velocity here, some better movement, it would work out probably better than
right.
than
Yeah,
this.
I was just commenting. Dell had commented. He said Dwayne's zones have been really tight lately, and so not much trade setups for his method. It has nothing to do with my method of trading. What it has to do with is the high of this session is 24.77.5, and the low of this session is 24.73. We got a 4-point range on the day.
Yeah.
Let me say that again. We have a 4-point range on the day. Historically, the S&P has averaged a 20-point daily range. That's from the low of the day to the high of the day. 20 points on a daily basis. Today, there has been a since the open last night, up until right now, there's been a 4-point range. Am I right, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
How the heck are you going to trade that?
So.
If you try to trade that, all you're doing is asking for trouble. And so people out there are just getting, they're getting killed trying to trade a market that, you either have to find something else to trade or take a vacation, because eventually the S&P will come back. I mean, it's 500 companies. It'll come back. I mean, the market's had a lot of curves thrown at it. Not only the president, this whole Bitcoin thing. I mean, there's so many things. We're at all-time highs. Buyers are afraid to buy. Sellers are afraid to sell. And so what do? You get a 4-point daily range, as opposed to the 20 points that we used to get.
And I suggested, Dwayne, we flip over at I was given NASDAQ numbers, and I told them the NASDAQ had like an 18. It's got over a 20-point range now, but
yeah, there is some movement in the NASDAQ, so we'll take a look at that.
I'll have to hop here in a few
I'll
minutes.
put it on a 5-minute for you.
Okay. Then I'll have to pop here.
Yeah, no, take off whenever you need to.
Okay. They came down to updated support was at 22.
Okay,
24
now,
to 22.
Right here, August 6th, 1800. Let's see, right there. Right there. That's the Globex Open. Now, can you see the difference between what I just showed you with a 4-point range and this? Leg, retrace, leg. I mean, it's like
Yeah, different animal. Yeah.
All right, so give those numbers again.
It's just intraday updates. We had 59.24 to 22. That was a new support for the Nasdaq as I left.
Mm-hmm.
That was, and it looked like they came back to 22. And see my charts. I was just eyeballing your chart, but pretty close there, I think. 20.
Yeah, it's 22, 24.
21 and 3/4.
And you got resistance up at 28,
out there.
29.
Right, these double tops here. Yeah. So
did you catch any of this move up?
Personally, I had a little bit of it, not a whole lot. I was just kind of bored, but yeah, a little bit annoying, not much to even talk about. I first started with the ES. I thought we might, and I was in the Dow, keeping an eye on the Dow. Also, with that being what's been the leader up here, it was weaker earlier in the NQ was just NQ was on its high while the ES was on its low. I mean, the S&P was on its low, or the Dow. I'm sorry, the Dow was on its low and the NQ was on its high, and the ES in that little range still stuck in between. So, anyhow, the divergent markets here. So you might want to continue to keep an eye on the Dow where these. I don't know how many gap ups we have. 1, 2, 3. We've had probably 5 gap up opens in the new all-time high territory, and it's getting pretty frothy here. So I don't know where it's going to stop. If we go through the 80 area and hold, like I said in that update last night, that we may have another 10 or 20 points to go, but we'll have to see here, Dwayne. This afternoon ought to be interesting.
Yeah, our recommendation last night when we sent the alerts out, when the email went out, was to consider buying 59.08. 59.08. And so...
Oh, on the NQs, okay.
On the NQ, yep. And so we triggered it. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested, so we get a little bit of a pullback. And then this first move up takes us all the way to 59.19 1/4. So, yeah, we'll call it 11 points. So that's 11 times $20 per point. Now, it did continue higher, but first it pulled back. So it depends upon how tightly you're trailing your stop. If you were trailing it pretty tight on this pullback, you got taken out. If not, you had a shot at the high, which was 21.50. Okay, now that's 13 points at $20 per point. We never get out at the swing high or swing low, and the reason for that is quite simple. I just said it. We trail our stop. And so when you trail your stop, you're always going to leave a little something on the table. Important prices, important areas, almost always tested. And so as we come up through 59.08 again, this time we make it all the way up to 59.29. So that's going to be 21 points at $20 per point. But again, we don't get out at the swing high or swing low, because we trail our stop. 21 times.
Dwayne?
Okay, buddy. All right.
I got a...
All right, do you want me to leave that page with 2 weeks on it, or you want me to change it to 1 week?
2 weeks is fine, Dwayne.
2 weeks is
That's
good?
Fine.
All right, bro. Yep. Drop in later in the week and say hi.
Will do. Thank you, Ray.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Dale, the answer is the S&P and the NASDAQ. Those are the two markets that Mike works with. If the S&P doesn't wake up soon, he's probably going to start looking at something else, I would assume. Now, There's John. Hey, John, welcome to the show.
Hi there. How you doing?
Good, yourself?
Not too bad, thanks. Actually, kind of. We're ready for the start of a new week, and I think it's going to be a good week. I actually, I thought it was a bit not only disgraceful, but they had some nerve that Newsweek put out a cover calling Trump lazy. I mean, that is so opposite to the reality. They just don't get it. They just don't get the memo. Most people about this guy, they don't even understand what he's all about. And
what grounds did they have for late? I mean, the guy's anything but
actually,
lazy.
I think it's backfired because. Look, there's only one poll that accounts, and it's the only, if you followed the Rasmussen poll going into the election like you and I did, or certainly I did, you would have known that Trump was going to win. I mean, as I've said before, there were only three that really got it right. There was Investors Business Daily. You could probably include the Los Angeles Times and Rasmussen, and Rasmussen was the most consistent. And it was, I think I actually mentioned it on the show. It was about a week, maybe even a few days before. There was about a week before the election that they came out with some kind of a questionnaire where they questioned people a slightly different way and asked them, these undecided, which way they would vote. And some huge numbers said 10% more than expected were going to vote for Trump. And as soon as I saw that, as you and I were both talking about this before the election, we both concluded that Trump, was going to win. And I think part of the reason, well, look, the polls didn't go down to 33. Anybody who's taking these polls at 33 needs their head examined, because first of all, CNN and all these other rogues out there they can't even do arithmetic. How can you have they had a kind of a disapproval of one level, and when you see Rasmussen, I think the disapproval got up to 60. It got down to 38 on Rasmussen, right? That was the low. All the others are saying 33 or some crazy number, which is just off the charts. It's not right. It's not accurate. It's totally inaccurate. And Rasmussen is the only one that counts. Anybody who doesn't understand that is not getting the memo, plain and simple. With Rasmussen, the approval and the disapproval almost always match up, whereas in these other cases, there were less disapprovals, and yet the disapproval level, actually on the CNN measures and all the other ones, actually comes to about 38, 39. That was the lowest it ever got. So how can you come up, when you got a disapproval percentage that equals 100, when you subtract it from the approval, and they lop another 5 points off or more just to stick it to Trump. That's just typical. It's fake polls. It's fake news, fake polls. It's just like Newsweek coming out with this cover. Well, guess what? Probably backfired, because since they put that cover out, Trump's approval ratings jumped 3 points. So he's back to 41 today. This is a V bottom. I believe that his appointment of Kelly to the White House was probably a seminal event in the Trump presidency, and it is it's probable that, and look, if you look at the way he's been tweeting recently, he hasn't been bashing anybody. He's been complimenting people, and he's been touting his own accomplishments, which are numerous. Have you been following the news on his Facebook page? He's got some kind of new thing going on. Oh, he's got, no, I haven't, but I think there's a new, is this they come out with news bites where some ex-CNN anchor is reading them? Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. I thought it was good. That's a great idea. And it's like, a little baby news channel, that's a real news channel, right? Rather than fake news channel.
That thing could get traction.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you know, Trump's IQ, it's all about working smart, not hard. And, you know, it's what he's done incrementally every day that is producing these incredible returns today. I mean, I did say on the last show that the Dow might go up to 22,200 or 250 before it runs into trouble. It's sort of, and actually, you know what, the way that the market's shaping up here, especially with the NASDAQ pulling ahead today, you know, we might get that run into August 21st after all, or certainly into mid-August. And because if you look at you were going on about the S&P earlier on being kind of very trapped in a tight range. You know, if we break out on the S&P to the upside, we're probably going to have a pretty big up day, or several pretty big up days. And that would make sense because the Dow has gone up 600 points and the S&P's kind of been left behind, really. So it could play catch up, as could the NASDAQ, and even possibly the mid cap and the others, which are kind of beaten up quite a bit and are still stuck down near the lows. So there's still a possibility that we could have, you know, one of the reasons why, you know, I mean, things have been pretty quiet lately. We haven't had any real bad events around the world happen for several weeks now, and all the senators and congressmen are out of the, you know, are away. So you do tend to get a rebound in August during this vacation time, because there's nothing the government can do to screw up the markets, and that's generally the one of the reasons why the August does rally. And even the mid cap has a tendency to rally from mid-August, so we could have that run into the third week of August in spite of it all. The other thing is, as we noted last week, the bonds are starting to turn down a bit. I think if the dollar is rallying a little bit right now, but if that starts to roll over again, and gold in spite of a, you know, nasty pullback last week, is actually holding up today, and doesn't seem like it wants to give up any more ground. The GOLD in particular looks quite bullish. The rest of the gold stocks don't look so great, but if they're able to come back from here, and the dollar goes to a new low, it's probably going to be helpful to stocks. And you know, we might see a drop in the dollar down to 90, possibly in, you know, because if the dollar actually goes down more rapidly, it could actually help stocks fly. Look at the NASDAQ now; it's up 30. That's quite impressive. And the Nvidia hit a new high today. We've been back long that for several days since the recent last low. The semiconductors in general are acting great. By the way, the AMD has a couple of monster new chips out called the Threadripper. They're 16 core, I think, is one of them is a 16 core, about 32 thread, unbelievable. It's the fastest chip in the world, and it's about less than half the price of Intel's comparative chip, and Intel doesn't even measure up against it. So AMD is a stock to watch. It's actually up a little bit today with the semis. Nvidia is considered to be, you know, it got a lot of bad flack on this last downturn when it hit 140 a couple of times, and we went back in on the long side from there back to where it is today, essentially. And it looks very solid here, possibly going to head up to towards 190, 200, and also the fangs are turning up quite a bit as well. I don't think I mentioned this on the show, but about a week ago or so, we shorted a stock called AAOI, Advanced Optical or something like that, and we started at 98, and it came out with some bad news a couple of days ago and dropped down to 64, and we covered in reverse today, and it bounced back up to about 71 or 2. which was kind of not an unusual move really when a stock's been hammered so hard. But all of these, I've noticed that the LABU is rebounding. There's been a couple of huge movers in stocks recently, which is symptomatic that you're getting to a crazy stage. There's a stock that's up big time today. It's up about 50%. We've had a few of these 50% gainers recently. We've had Applied Opto, that's the one, AAOI, and also there's a stock called Lam Research, which is a semiconductor. That's up $5 today too. I'm trying to think. DVAX, which got a FDA approval for hepatitis B, had a big jump from about $9 to 16, 17. That's looking like it's going to go higher. We're long that right now, and it looks like it's going to break out higher. So all in all, the market's actually doing pretty well. But I wouldn't be surprised, possibly tomorrow. This is a good start to the week. It's sort of, we have gapped up on a few things as well. So if we actually keep going, tomorrow is going to be the test day. If we have another up day tomorrow, I think the market could actually get some renewed upside momentum during this week and possibly next week as well, because we've really been going sideways. While the Dow's been advancing, the rest of the markets have been going sideways or in a correction. And if you look at the FANGs, they don't actually look too bad. They kind of look like they've been going, in the largest sort of scheme of things, they've been going sideways as well. And if they were to break out and have look, these FANGs, when they get going, they can really move a lot in one day. So if they all moved back up together, you've got the NASDAQ could go higher as well. And remember, we're getting up towards. Let me just pull up the latest. Hang on a second. Yeah, the NASDAQ 100 getting up towards that 6,000 number, which I think is definitely in our, an interim target now. And actually, the NASDAQ could go up to 6,600. Could the NASDAQ go up 600 in a week or two? You can't rule it out, especially if the FANGs recovered here. And the European stocks, which have been acting really bad, are also trying to rebound today. The Euro stocks and the DAX are still off a bit, but if the DAX kind of gets back into an upward trend, then globally all the markets could sink. But look at the S&P. I mean, it's really been going sideways for a couple of weeks now, 3 weeks almost. And if that breaks out, boy, you could really get up towards the 2,600 level maybe on that S&P, 2,500, 2,600. So I think we still are in a situation where the surprises might be on the upside. And it also looks like there might be some sort of solution on this healthcare issue after all. That could come. Look, these healthcare stocks are going back up today, so somebody knows something, because they're rebounding. A few other, that's a couple of other things that are going on pretty well today. Platinum, which I mentioned the other day, is leading the metals higher, and that's a very good development, because back in 2016, in February, March, when the metals took off, platinum actually led the way up before the metals, and that's what's happening right now. As you know, we've been very bullish on copper. We had an interim target of $3. We hit 290 this morning. Kind of looks like $3 is in our sights, possibly this week. That's obviously a very good sign for the economy. The grains are actually turning up as well a little bit here. So I'd be inclined to kind of get long the grains again. I think I wouldn't buy the oats yet, or the soybean oil. I'd wait for those to break out upwards. But the beans are trying to go higher here, and the soy meal as well. And the wheat actually is also trying to turn up today, and the corn's already gapped up. So I think the wheat, the grains might be ready for another run to the upside here. Coffee, I mentioned that I thought cotton would go higher. It's just moving up very gradually, but I think it's going to. I'd put a stop around 70 right now, but I think it's going to go higher from here. Coffee, which I've been saying you need to be long in case there's some sort of upside surprise, has actually continued to move up really methodically here. We hit 142 today. That's a long way from the 115.5 bottom a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, which looked really scary. It's amazing, how much coffee's come back from here. It's sort of making 3-4 month highs right now. Lumber is limit down today. We actually did put a sell on lumber. We originally sold it near the highs, the all-time highs around 400, or all-time highs of the year. And we re-shorted it up around 390 on the last rally. And we are currently short at limit down. Sugar has turned down again. It's a kind of a disappointing move. Not necessarily terminal. It's at a kind of a double bottom here at 13.5. So if it turns back up, I would consider buying the sugar. And the currencies are, in a kind of a correction now after being very strong. The U.S. dollar had this big move up on Friday. It's actually off a little bit today. If the currencies turn back up here, if we have a daily reversal to the upside, I think you'd probably want to go back into those currencies, because when they've been this strong and you get a daily reversal, it doesn't take much to get them back on trend. And actually, this is kind of like a refreshing pullback for the currencies. And I think if they were to turn, they might turn tonight in the markets or tomorrow. And if they do, I think they may lift the metals up as well. And I think the next leg up in the metals could be pretty exciting if we get above the highs of last week. Going into August, this is a traditionally strong period. We should be rallying into August, into late August, September time now in the metals. So look, they haven't given up much ground really, and if they start back up, just like the currencies, it could be just it could be that run for the roses where pretty much all the markets go higher together later into the month, into the third week of the month.
Have you did you read the article out this morning about all the hedge funds that had shorted the chip makers at the beginning of the year, and they're losing billions because of the whole Bitcoin thing? And Bitcoin's up.
No, I didn't.
Another $170 today, trading 3,000 and change. And yeah, it's it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
It really
sure is. I mean, it really is. Actually, the Bitcoin rally to new highs is kind of bullish for gold as well. So, because it really is kind of on a major tear to the upside, this thing, and it's probably going to rub off on gold one way or another.
Well, more and more, it seems as if financial institutions are going to get behind this Ethereum more so than Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin today is trading $3,000. Let's see what the current price on Ethereum is. at the moment. You got 3,000 and change for Bitcoin. Ethereum is trading at $268.96. It's up a little over 1.25% on the day. So do your own due diligence, guys. Bitcoin, yeah, 3,500. That's pretty exciting. If you had gotten in at $268, well, you can't buy Bitcoin for $268. Ethereum, you can buy for $268. Now, does that mean it's going to go higher? Is it going to go to 3,000, 3,500? I don't know. But all of the articles that I read say that the financial institutions, because of the whole blockchain methodology, they are hitching their horse to that wagon. And Ethereum is up considerably on the year. I'm a little surprised that it's not up more. It's got a market cap of over $25 billion. In the last 24 hours, it's up $3.64. So I think what's happened is the man in the street has heard the word Bitcoin now. He still doesn't understand it, still doesn't know what it is, but has managed to go online and buy some, and that keeps pushing price up. However, if all the institutions, come to an agreement that the standard that they're going to operate off of, and in the beginning there was a big question, oh, well, is this really going to catch on? Is anybody ever going to believe in this or use this? Well, I think those days, that ship sailed. We don't ask that question anymore. The question is which cryptocurrency, which standard, and Ethereum appears to have the backbone that Bitcoin doesn't. So why is one over 3,000 and one, under 300? Well, maybe it's good fortune. Maybe it's because the man in the street hasn't heard of Ethereum. The man in the street has only heard of Bitcoin. But as more and more people, and again, this is going to be dependent upon major financial institutions continuing to favor Ethereum. So we'll have to wait and see, but I encourage you at this point, do your research. We let Bitcoin slip by. We talked about it when it was $2. Hey, it happens. You can't win them all. What do you think about this guy in Korea? What do you think he's going to do? He says he seems to be pretty ticked off.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of interesting to see what his reaction is going to be. Because one of these days he's going to do something stupid, and that's.
Well, he said he's getting ready for a thousands-fold revenge over these sanctions.
Yeah. Look, the closer he gets to that, the quicker he's going to be annihilated. And it's just the same as Nazi Germany. I mean, they had visions of grandeur, and they ended up in the ash heap of history. And this guy's going the same way. There's no doubt about it.
But with Hitler, look at all the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, however many lives were lost. I mean, isn't our intelligence community intelligent enough to, if we take out this Kim Jong-un, then what happens? Who takes over if something happened to him? Who would take charge? Who's next in line? Who ascends to the throne?
Well, that's an interesting point, and it might be one of these generals, but I think that look, this whole family hierarchy business are kind of anything is better than that, because they are. And the indoctrination of the people there, there's got to be somebody who's going to throw all that out, with the regime change. It'll just collapse overnight. It's kind of like Ceausescu, I think it was Ceausescu of Romania. Remember him? I mean, he was a real hard, one of the most brutal dictators behind the Iron Curtain, and he ended up, the people took to the streets and ended up, I think he ended up getting hanged. And this probably something similar could happen to this guy. It happened to Gaddafi, it happened to a lot of these fellows. And that's probably what he's scared of. That's why he's so paranoid. But things could change very rapidly. It's just like, look, you go back to 1988, nobody foresaw, not even the frigging intelligence community saw the Berlin Wall, falling. That's how great they are, They didn't see the Saddam Hussein going into Kuwait. They've missed so many of these things all the way along. It's just, and they're going to probably miss this one too. So whatever happens, cooler heads are going to probably prevail at some point. And the China, look, it's pretty obvious that something's going on behind the scenes with North Korea, where they're getting a lot of support from China. People are saying that a lot of their rockets come from China. They look like Chinese rockets. It seems, their displays of military look a little bit too big for the whole country. It's almost like, their military parades are sort of on a par with Russia. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And Russia's a big country, has been doing this for a long time, and Korea is pretty new to the game. It seems like...
Yeah, the way these guys march, they got to be worn out by the time they get there. It's just crazy.
Yeah. So, it might be a mess for a while, but ultimately the Koreas are probably going to get united. That's what happened to East and West Germany. A lot of people never saw that coming. That East Germany could assimilate so well with West Germany, and the current what do they call the German leader? I forget now what the
the Führer.
No, they're not that one. Oh. The current.
The Chancellor.
Chancellor, right? Yeah. They'll probably have somebody, in that same role. But the Chancellor comes from East Germany. A lot of people don't know that. That's amazing in of itself, right? It's kind of like if the Koreas eventually merged and eventually being actually had a North Korea citizen become president. That would be very unexpected. So, but a benevolent North Korea, not a dictator. Much as the situation in Germany today. There's a lot of things that have happened in Germany. When you look at you couldn't get more from the extremes of World War II, with the Nazism and everything, to where Germany is today, being one of the most left-wing countries in the world. It's kind of amazing, really. It's. Hitler would be rolling in his grave. He'd be shocked to see what had happened to Germany. Not that they don't make great cars, Mercedes and BMW and everything. They're the world leaders in automobile engineering and a lot of other things. But they're not a warmongering nation like they used to be. They're the exact opposite, and so is Japan. And that's in my view, that's the key to North Korea and China, because while Japan might be have had its wings clipped, if you like, by their own kind of declarations, they might need to step it up a bit to take this guy out and to keep the Chinese on notice, because you got to have a balance of power over in Asia. You can't let the Chinese walk all over everybody, which is what's going on right now.
Well, we got some kind of timeline going on with Russia, right? Something's supposed to happen by September 1st.
Well, they're supposedly going to respond to the recent Russian actions. But, that's actually, thanks for reminding me. I wanted to bring this up today on the show. It's like this kind of clamor for sanctions against Russia, which got passed with a staggering majority. And relatively quickly and silently, almost came out of nowhere. You know, what do we get for it? I mean, they didn't think this thing through very well. It doesn't pay to look. First of all, there's a lot of dispute as to whether exactly how much the Russians did. And as Trump said the other night, you know, there was nobody in the United States who was forced by any Russia to vote for Trump. That's for sure. Right. They made their own decision. Right. You know, Trump won because of the American people voting for him, nobody else. And all this nonsense that's being perpetrated is just absolutely. It actually should be. I think the Dems should be put in jail for it, because it's absolutely outrageous what they've done, and it's all lies. And Putin, you know, look, he sort of he said some people in Russia may have hacked, but they were out of beyond his control. That's about the only admission he's said of any Russian involvement. Right. But the U.S. has overreacted and put all this pressure on Russia, and guess what? You know, when it comes to, if we ever have to move to take out some nukes in Iran or something, Russia just made it a whole lot harder, because now they're moving closer ties together. That means that Iran's going to be buying missile defense systems and all kinds of military stuff. That's ultimately going to end up killing people, killing our people that we have to go in and clean up. So that's what they bought themselves just now. And it's really stupid. That it's a very bad move, because they didn't think things through. And putting Iran closer to Russia is about the worst thing that could, the worst development that could have occurred. I mean, we're trying to contain Iran, not make it a stronger nation, and by getting together with Russia, it complicates the situation even further than what's already going on in the Middle East and everywhere else. Make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
So, I think it's a terrible development myself, because the Russians are, they're flexing their muscles as well. They're in a kind of an expansionist role, in a sense. For a long time they stayed out of the Middle East while we were in the middle of cleaning it up, and now because Obama basically let Syria, let Syria become the nightmare that it is, and secondly didn't let ISIS grow out of nowhere, and didn't nip it in the bud when it should have been done from day one. I have to bring it up every time. There's been hundreds of thousands of innocent people killed because of ISIS, and because we didn't go in and knock them out and knock this thing on the head from day one. And that's what the intelligence community should have been doing, instead of fantasizing about Russian enemies. They should, we're not fighting the last war, we're fighting the new war, and the new war doesn't need any explanation. If with the things going on in Europe and everything else, and it's just an outrage, and all the things that happened in Orlando and in California and elsewhere. That's the biggest enemy we've got.
Yeah.
So listen, thanks very much for the invite. We'll look forward to tomorrow.
Well, John, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here with us, and we will see you tomorrow, same time.
Okay, great. Much obliged. Right, thanks a lot. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
You too. Okay. Let's see what else is in the news today. And if you want to take a screenshot of last night's Concierge Trade Alerts, they are up on the screen right now. Okay. Somebody in the YouTube chat room was just asking me about the zone formula, and Just explain that it's a proprietary formula that's been exactly the same. Nothing's changed since December 14th of 2009. That's when Michael and I had been trading them for a while, but that's when we first publicly published them. And you can go out on Google and Google CFRN Weekly Trading Zones, and you can see articles going back over the years. And also, if you click the Images tab at the top of the page, you can see charts going back for years. So, and of course on the blog and on our website and on the Twitter page and on the Google Plus page, all over the net, wherever you look. No, I do not, Dale. Someday I will. When I get ready to retire, I sure will. That's always the question. Will you teach me how you do it? Yeah, when I get ready to retire, I'm going to teach a lot of people in a stadium, and the tickets, well, let's just say they won't be cheap. Okay. Alright, let's have a look here. A senior engineer over at Google wrote a manifesto against diversity, and employees are furious. The manifesto criticizes company initiatives aimed at increasing gender and racial diversity and argues that Google should instead focus on ideological diversity. Do you even know what that means? Ideological diversity. Okay. A lot of people with a lot of different ideas. That's what it basically boils down to. Not, whether they're built like G.I. Joe or G.I. Jane, which brings up another good show on Netflix that just got added. I think it was on Netflix. It's called Shooter. Not bad. This guy was a sniper. I don't know if it's based on a true story or not, but it's good entertainment. And that's an ongoing series. It's in its second season now. Apple will reportedly release an Apple Watch with its own internet connection by the end of the year. The new Apple Watch could also get a redesign. Now, I've wondered why they haven't done this previously, or even why the original Apple Watch was tethered to a phone. It seemed to be redundant. I mean, I don't wear a watch anymore because I tell time with my phone. So why do I need a phone and a watch? Well, so far I haven't figured out a reason, because I have a phone. I don't have a watch. So if you get the new Apple Watch, which supposedly will be out by the end of the year, you will not need the phone. It truly will be like Dick Tracy then. I'm assuming you'll be able to do all the things with your watch that you can do with your phone. That's pretty cool. Maybe, the current watch was just an interim step just to kind of get people acclimated, and to, that's an awful lot of technology to put in a small space. So Amazon is thinking about building mobile drone stations on trains, vans, and boats. The new patent filing by the company outlines a way to fit mobile drone maintenance stations on trains and container ships. Apple's months-long AirPod shortage is finally starting to end. It increased production capacity for the AirPods, and the wait time is going down. In case you don't know, the new iPhone doesn't have a headphone jack. You got to use wireless headphones, which I don't know about you, but I have several pair, and not because I have to have them, because I have the older phone that still has the headphone jack, but every time I listen to something, how do I listen? Just plug them in and go. Those wireless things, oh my goodness, you know, first you got to make sure they're charged. Okay, check. Now you got to make sure it's paired. Check. Now you got to make sure you remember the right sequence of buttons to push behind your ear or in your ear that you can't really see. Just not a fan of it, you know, and for that reason and that reason alone, I might stay with this iPhone until it becomes obsolete. And there becomes a point where newer apps coming out. Oh, by the way, for those of you that use TuneIn Radio, if you've had difficulty picking up CFRN of late, you need to upgrade the app. They made some changes to the app, and so the other day I went to TuneIn Radio on my iPad or my iPhone, and I went to CFRN, and I couldn't get it, and I couldn't get it, and I couldn't get it. So I updated the app, and all of a sudden there it was in all its glory. So Travis Kalanick has hired an advisory firm to fix his image. The company, Teneo, confirmed that it has been hired by the former Uber CEO. Apple is reportedly claiming 1/3 of Samsung's current OLED display production for the iPhone 8. Machines will operate with a 60% yield and churn out about, you ready for this? 79 million displays for Apple to make iPhone 8s with. Huh. Google wants to use artificial intelligence to hide crashing Android apps on the Play Store. Apps that are found to crash a lot will be downranked in the charts. How about take them out of the store or ask the developer to fix them? Amazon has relisted Blue, BLU, smartphones on its sites after a false alarm. It originally suspended sales of the devices because of concerns that the phones collected user data. You know, Amazon, for all that it's doing and accomplishing, and in its, you know, march for world domination, there are an awful lot of unhappy campers out there. People who write reviews for Amazon kind of as a living, and also vendors, people who sell their products, who have their products fulfilled through Amazon. Amazon just draconian measures. Give me 1 second, please. Sorry about that. If you have an Amazon store, and I don't know how much you know about how this whole machine works, but you can sell your products on Amazon. You can put them on the Amazon site and ship them yourself out of your garage, or you can ship a bunch of the products to Amazon and they will fulfill them for you. Okay. They announced last week that whether you ship yourself or have them fulfill for you, if a customer wants a refund, they simply give it to them without giving you an opportunity to speak to the customer, because maybe it's a tech device, for instance, and you know, when you get a brand new tech device, most of us don't want to read the instructions. We just want to start using it or playing with it, or, you know, having it do whatever it is it's supposed to do. And then at some point we actually break down, we find the English set of instructions in the little booklet, and we figure out, oh, I need to push this button 3 times. I see. Oh, and this one I have to hold down 3 seconds. Got it. Oh, wait, no. I hold this one down for 3 seconds, and I press the other button 3 times while I'm holding it down, the other button down. There, okay. Now I got it. Yeah. When all else fails, read the instructions. That hasn't changed. So anyway, people order stuff from Amazon. It's a piece of cake. Shows up at your door the next day. Practically. Well, it does for me. And I think there's some places where you can get stuff in a couple of hours if you pay a little extra. But I have a distribution center about 5 miles from my residence. So if we order today, if we order tonight, if we order midnight tonight, I've done this. Saturday night, almost midnight, ordered a part for my computer, came home from church the next day, Sunday, at noon, and there it was on the front porch. I was a little bit blown away. So anyway, if someone wants to return something, Amazon just blanket says, okay. In other words, do they care about the little vendor? No. They got so many of them. Their thought is, we've got, we want everyone in America to be a customer. So we're going to do what makes the customer happy. If the vendor takes his business elsewhere, well, that's his loss because we're the biggest platform this side of Alibaba. And so, do you see where this is going? So a lot of Amazon vendors are very unhappy, and there is absolutely nothing they can do about it. Nothing. Now, many of them have poured years and, endless hours, sweat, labor, tears, all of that into building their Amazon business, and now it's on really shaky ground. So, stay tuned. A mysterious driverless minivan was spotted driving around the DC area. There were no humans in the front seat. Say what? It was a Ford Transit van, and it was seen around Arlington, Virginia on Thursday. And remember the song, What, No Driver on the Top? Yeah, the double-decker bus. The Ford Transit van also doesn't appear to have any LiDAR sensors mounted on its roof. LiDAR, L-I-D-A-R, is a 3D sensing technology that big tech companies like Google and Apple believe is key to autonomous vehicles. Virginia's state government has aggressively courted self-driving vehicle companies and researchers. There are no laws preventing autonomous testing on roadways or a special permitting process. That doesn't exist. There are very few regulations in Virginia for that. However, the roads that the car was spotted on were not controlled by the Virginia Department of Transportation. Some officials have said that nobody needs to be in a self-driving car if it's operated remotely. One person who saw the van said it was driving weirdly and that the technology on the top of the vehicle got her attention. It might not be a tech company behind the van. Lots of university and military researchers are based in Northern Virginia and the DC suburbs. That's about it. The mysterious unmarked gray van. Sure we'll hear more about that. And last on my little list, it looks like Spotify is finally coming to the Xbox. I'll be honest with you. I know what Spotify is. Got it on my phone. And I know what an Xbox is. My son and daughter have one. It's an older Xbox 360. But Spotify coming to Xbox, what does that mean? I honestly, for the past few years, PlayStation 3 and 4 owners have enjoyed access to the world's most popular music streaming service, Spotify. It's been an exclusive, meaning that consoles like Microsoft's Xbox One and Nintendo's Switch couldn't get the app. Now, as several leaks seemingly reveal, it looks like the service is finally coming to Xbox One. A second potential indicator that Spotify is coming to the Xbox One comes from a Microsoft employee who was spotted using the service. Larry Major Nelson Herb was seen using Spotify for Xbox One in the app's friend activity feed. On the PS4, both the free and paid versions of Spotify function in much the same way they function elsewhere. The paid app is commercial free, while the free version has occasional ad breaks. The app also seamlessly integrates into the PlayStation 4's quick menu overlay, which we expect would function similarly on the Xbox One. Of note, Spotify is not available on any Xbox platform, whether you're talking about the 360 or the One thus far, nor has Microsoft or Spotify indicated that it's coming. So, this appears to be a leak. We're always working on a number of new experiences for Xbox One owners, many times with great music playing in the background, but we have nothing to announce today. That's what they said. Little tease, just enough to let you know it's coming. It's coming. There's also a cell phone coming that doesn't have a battery and never needs to be charged. I think I've already told you about it. Researchers at the University of Washington have created a cell phone that uses so little power.
Where's Jack?
He's on holiday. What do you need?
I need the temperature for pipe 5.
Ask the new guy.
No.
New guy?
Jack
My
trained
browser
him.
just went
Jack's guidance would be
on me.
to maintain the temperature at negative 160 degrees Celsius.
That doesn't sound like Jack.
Actually, Jack would
That should
say,
be illegal
hey, mate,
things you
just
can't
cool
shut
it to
down.
minus 160, and we're
Where'd it
set.
go?
Good on you.
Oh yeah, that's Jack.
Unbelievable. We got to figure out a way to fix that. Researchers at the University of Washington have created a cell phone that uses so little power it never needs to charge and doesn't have a battery. Instead, it pulls power from ambient light and radio waves. Ooh, imagine that. Imagine that. I can't imagine it. All right, good word for the day. Which law are you operating under? Romans 8:2 says, the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus has made me feel free from the law of sin and death. You say, I fall so short of God's standards. Will there ever come a time when my old carnal nature will stop acting up and trying to drag me down? Well, there's bad news and there's good news. The bad news is, just as the law of gravity is always in operation, so is the law of sin. And your fleshly nature wants to respond to it. The good news, however, is you can access a higher law and operate in it instead. It's called the law of the Spirit, and it overrides the law of sin and death. The law of gravity says that what goes up must come down. But when you're in an aeroplane, another law is in operation, the law of aerodynamics. It works like this. The plane moves at a certain speed, and the proper thrust enables it to climb out of gravity's pull. That doesn't mean the law of gravity is no longer the law of gravity. Get the idea? So you ask, what is this law of the Spirit? Well, that's a great question. Here's the answer. When you're indwelt by the Holy Spirit and relying on His power rather than your own, which means being sensitive to His leading and obeying His commands, you're no longer controlled by the law of sin and death. It's no longer about trying harder, but leaning harder on God's Spirit who lives within you and drawing from Him the strength to live a victorious life. Bottom line is you can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. If we're going to defeat the power of the enemy, who's been around since the foundations of creation, he's had an awful lot of time to get really good and develop an awful lot of tools to trick us, whoop us, beat us. However, the power of the Holy Spirit, he can't stand against that. You turn on the light, darkness must flee. Have you ever turned on a light and it was still dark? Oh, well, that was because the light didn't work. If the light works, darkness will flee, must flee. And so what we're comparing that light to here is the power of the Holy Spirit. Now, you can know about it, you can be aware of it, but is it indwelling? Does it live inside of you? If it does, let that light shine. Darkness will flee. And the laws of men, and the laws of Moses, and even the laws of gravity won't stop you from following whatever path, finding whatever purpose that God created you for. You have a unique reason for being on this earth, right here, right now, in this moment. And if you don't know what it is, then maybe just ask the one who created you, who created the earth, who put you here in this moment, in this time. Ask him. Don't have to ask him over and over. You can ask him once. What's really important is to then listen for the answer. Now, the answer may not be what you want to hear, because you may have a lot of ideas about, what you want to do and what you should be doing and what you're uniquely gifted for doing. And you might be right. And if so, you'll feel God's hand at your back. But if you're off base, off track, if you've fallen for your own vain imaginations, well then guess what? You got to back up. You got to say, all right, God, I'm ready. Let your light shine. from inside of me. So that when I walk into a room, people don't see me, but they see you. And then whatever purpose, whatever destiny, whatever reason you had for bringing me here to live this life will be evident, not only to me, but to all men. That is our good word for the day. Romans 8:2. The law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus has made me free from the law of sin and death. He came to set you free. But so many of us build these, we incarcerate ourselves in behind iron bars of our own imagination, or by walking in the flesh and not in the spirit, we allow the enemy to control the events that unfold in our life. There's a better way. Surrender your life to Him. If you haven't ever surrendered it, there's no better time than right now, right here, today. And if you already have, if you already know what I'm talking about, and I know most of you do, then make it your point to share it with someone today who maybe doesn't know. All right? All right. That is our good word for the day. Now, if you failed to get a screenshot earlier, I'll give you one more shot here. Take a whack at that. Okay. Now, coming into the show, there was no trigger on the S&P. The Dow, we had a nice little move to the upside last night. Got it? Okay. All right. So let's run through them real quick here. You'll notice that price ran right up. I drew this, I connected this to this, and then this was just kind of hanging out there. And we ran up. We turned back down. See, if that part of the market doesn't kind of fascinate you, well, look at it again, because it should. That's what you want to do if you want to trade. Okay, so now what's going to happen? Well, in a price channel, now we didn't reach the top of the price channel. See, the price channel is actually here. These are two parallel lines. What I did was I used the bottom line to create this triangle here. This was in case we broke out of the top, the resistance that was put in here, 77.50, which goes back to the high. Let's see, no, the high on Friday was 77. No, it was right here. It was 77.75. Okay, so today's high 77.50, 77.25, and now 77. See, each time we approach that previous high, we come one tick shy of hitting it. One tick shy here, one tick shy here, one tick shy here. So do you think this thing's going to probably break out the bottom side of this triangle? I think that might be a pretty good possibility. Okay. Have to wait and see. Now, did we hit this week's weekly trading zone right here? Yeah. I can't put it on the chart right now for the general radio audience, but since you're here, I can tell you we did. And you'll see it Thursday when I put it up. But if you're a partner, you already got it. Okay. And then did we hit the zone here? Yeah. Yeah, we did. So what have we done? We've gone from zone to zone, back to the zone. Now, because the markets are so constricted, recall I said we had a 4-point range in the S&P. So we got 4 down and 4 back up. If we go all the way back to last night, we got 4 up, 4 down, 4 up, and maybe we're going to shoot for 4 back down. That's tough trading for the S&P. So if you're a diehard S&P trader, okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what methodology you use. You can use Elliott Wave. You can use, oh my gosh, any strategy in the world. Doesn't change the fact that from the low of the session to the high of the session, there's a 4-point range. Okay. Now, in a 4-point move, can you take 2 points out of that? Could you take 2 points out of this move? Yep. Could you take 2 points out of this move? Yep. Could you take 2 points out of this move? Yep. Absolutely, positively. Zone to zone, to zone, to zone, and it looks like we're coming back down to the zone. So, on the Dow, the email last night said to consider, this is the Globex Open, consider buying 22,035. We ran up 46 points. Got back below the trigger. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. And then we ran up 31 points. Now, can we draw a similar trend line to what we drew on the S&P? We can. Is there a price channel happening there? See, that line has to be parallel. It has to be at the exact same angle. You can drag it all over the place as long as you drag it from the middle. If you drag it from the end, you'll change the angle. And you don't want to change the angle. Okay? Yeah. See, that's I'm not feeling it. Gotta tell you. I mean, you can do that, right? Okay. But this is your first touch. Second touch, third touch, fourth touch. You can do that. But I don't like the fact that, no, you got to break into the channel at some point. So we just have to accept that that's where it broke in. So we got a descending price channel. So what would we expect price to do here? Continue to fall. Okay. Well, if that's the case, and you insert these CFRN indicators, had a bearish cross, and we rallied up at the top of that channel. Now here's what I'd be watching for. Is for this to roll over, and as soon as I get a candle closing below the MA1, you short it right back down to the bottom of the channel. That's if you want to trade the Dow. Okay. Soybeans, email last night said to consider buying 962. Ran up 4.5 points, or 4.5 pennies at $50 per penny or per point, however you want to call it. Back down to the trigger, except you see the swing low here, 62. We needed to really go one tick below. What was the swing low here? 962, right on the nose. So, gosh, this one ran all the way up to 72. So that's a 10-point move. It's $500 per contract. However, the rules of the road say it needs to come one tick below. Now, as you become more advanced in your trading skill and ability and knowledge, etc., which won't happen overnight, it takes time, okay, you would see this as an opportunity, okay, but give it time. For now, whatever rules you've got, whatever's working for you, stay with it. Don't get in a hurry. Bonds, I think, were completely flat today. Oh, just got a little uptick there towards the end. ZBU, consider buying 154.18. Haven't quite made it there yet. On the sell side, we were looking to sell 153.13. So basically, today's a day. You know, we have a lot of $1,000 per contract days on bonds like we did Friday. And we also have days like today where we get, after a wide-ranging day, we get a day of consolidation. So, no trigger for bonds today. Okay. After bonds, let's go to gold, which was pretty quiet. I think we've got a no trigger situation there as well. We're looking to be buyers at 66, or we were willing to sell 59. So gold, no trigger. Trading day is not over, but getting close. On the Russell, what do we got? On the Russell, we were looking to be buyers at 14.15. Which is right about here. Goodness, goodness, goodness. Alright. On the Russell, 14.15, we just got nothing. Okay? Now, based upon your stop, depending upon where it was, if you took the trade, chances are on this you got stopped out. Okay? Stops happen. And this made it all the way up to 17.70. So back in the day, it would have been $270, but now it's $135 per contract available. And on the sell side, $14.07. Look at that. Just enough to get yourself stopped out again, if you were willing to assume that risk. Okay. And we'll continue to see this type of activity until the markets. Well, we already did the NQ on the 5-minute chart. Yeah. Consider buying 5908. This is a 5-minute chart. Ran up to 5921. Oh, I use this one because of this pullback. Okay. So 11 points at $20 per point. Now, depending upon how closely you were trailing, it did actually make it up to 21. So that would have been 13 points. And then important prices, important areas are almost always tested, and this time it ran up 21 points at $20 per point. Okay. I think the only thing we got left is crude. I think the only thing we have left is crude. Yeah. True story. Okay, so let's find the Globex open last night. Right there. Okay. All right. On crude, we're looking to sell 49.40 if we had the opportunity. I think we did. Swing low on crude. The initial swing low here was 46.78. I'm sorry, 48.78. So sit tight. Swing low. 48.78. That's $620 per contract available. Again, we don't get out of the swing high or swing low. Why? Well, you know why. Because we trail our stop. Now, important prices, important areas are almost always tested. Look at this. It came back. It tried so hard and it didn't quite make it, because if it had have made it, we'd have had another drop, which would have taken us all the way down to a low at 48.54. However, the swing high here was 49.37, and we needed to actually go up to 49.41 before we could institute a new trade. So close, but no cigar. But the 620 per contract, yeah, worse things could happen. Okay, so we did the bonds, we did the Dow, we did the S&P, we did the crude, we did the NQ, we did the Russell, we did the gold, we did the soybeans. By golly, we did it all. Yes, we did. Okay. So keep this in mind, right? Okay. Those of you that have this week's zones, if we break this zone below, you know what to do. And if we break the zone overhead, you know what to do. And in the meantime, what happens? We go from zone to zone. Go from zone to zone to zone to zone, and then probably back to the zone. Okay? A break of this low here should open your door for a move. But then you're dealing with the bottom of this. You know, when you got a market with a 4-point range on the day that historically has 20 points, the really best advice is go find something else to trade. Okay? Something that has some momentum, some participation. This is the most gridlocked that I have seen the S&P personally since 2005. When it's done, when whatever happens, when whatever needs to happen, whatever has to happen, whenever it actually happens and this thing cuts loose, it's going to blow your hair back. It's going to snap your head back. It's going to amaze you. It really is. Wow, is that the same market? What happened? Did they change something? No. No. It just got back to normal. And when that happens, you'll know. We had a day last week, or I don't know if it was the week before, where I thought it looked like, and I even said it on the show, I said it looks like we might be actually starting to go somewhere, but yeah, not for now. Not for now. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this Monday, 7th day of August 2017. If you have not taken a trial in our live training room, go to apply.cfrn.net. Our methodology is, I think it's the simplest you're going to find on the internet. I really do. You don't have to check 20 different things. You don't need an advanced decline indicator, the trend, the tricks, any of that. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with any of those things. Bollinger Bands and stochastics, and people use them and use them well. We just decided to make something that was really simple. Simple's good. Trading's not easy, but it can be simple. If you let it be simple, if you allow it to be simple, if you design a methodology that is simple. Okay? So, let the simplicity of what we have go to work for you. All right? And I just got a notice that my audio connection has been lost. And it's attempting to reconnect. My internet connection is still strong. So this has something to do with GoToWebinar. Now it says audio will not be recorded during this time. That's not true, because while it won't be recorded by the GoToWebinar app, it will continue to be recorded. It is being recorded by We Stream Live. The show is streamed live on YouTube each and every day. In fact, folks are there enjoying it right now as we speak. youtube.com/CFRN. If you haven't subscribed, go there, youtube.com/CFRN. Click the subscribe button. It's that simple. A bunch of you jumped in there last week, and so we're so close to 1,000. I just want to push the subscribers over 1,000, just because they do something when you get 1,000. I don't know. I want to see what it is. I want to see what kind of jack jumps out of the box. All right. So if you haven't taken the trial, take the trial. If you've been on the trial and you already see that this simplicity, you know, we use, what do we use? 2 indicators, one up top, one down below. Once you learn how to read those, once you understand the very simple methodology of the markets, how they operate, and how our method just piggybacks on that. Price is rising, hey, we want to be long. Price is falling, we want to be short. Just long enough to reach our goal for the day. That's it. We're not greedy. Once we hit our goal for the day, take our money, we put the mouse away. We do not believe that more points is the solution to the equation. Try that in a 4-range market. What we do believe, though, is that more contracts is the answer, as long as those additional contracts are paid for by money that you earned in the market. Which is why we put you through a 10-day trial. Once you become a partner, we want you to be consistently profitable 10 days in a row. We want you to make $100 in 10 trades or less. 10 days in a row. $100, 10 trades or less, 10 days in a row. That's when the system will green light you to go live with your first contract. We then want you to increase your account balance by $2,000 before you add your second contract. This way, moving forward, every time you add a new contract, and you'll always know when it's time to add the next contract, because the blueprint tells you, will always be underwritten by profits you earned in the market. Okay? And if there ever comes a time when you hit an unprofitable streak, we don't want you to bleed out on the trading floor. We're going to grab you by the leg and pull you back into the safety of the simulator so that we can troubleshoot, go over the trades, and when we have one-on-one mentoring sessions, you know, you can't just say, oh yeah, I had a rough day, help me, fix me. I can't do that. Michael can't do that. You need to bring the date, the time, the trade. You can have a screenshot if you want. We have to be able to go back to that point in time where you took that trade. We need to discuss the reason you took the trade, what you saw, what your reasoning was, were the indicators correct, where all systems go. Sometimes the answer will be, yeah, all systems will go. However, for reasons not evident on the range chart, you ran into a brick wall. Now we'll walk up to a higher time frame and we'll probably find that reason. Okay? So while Michael in the live training room teaches you hand-to-hand combat, when you and I, after you become a partner, have our one-on-one mentoring sessions, that's where I help you put that in context. Okay? So, again, to take the trial, go to apply.cfrn.net, apply.cfrn.net, and if you've already been on the trial and you're ready to become a partner and you haven't received the information yet on how to become a partner, send an email to support@cfrn.net. We'll rush that information out to you so that you can get in and get started with the learning process. We practice aggressive risk management. You will not get rich overnight. I promise you. But what you will learn is the foundation. You learn the foundation of building your own trading business. How big you want to grow it is entirely up to you. The 24/20 blueprint is designed to take you from 1 to 20 contracts over a period of 24 months. Some people want to grow beyond 20. That's fine. And others get comfortable at 5, at 10. At 10, that's $1,000 a day before commissions. If you're trading the S&P 500, you need $5,000 in your account to trade 10 contracts. Plus, you need half as much again, $2,500 to cover your drawdowns, stop outs. These are things that are going to happen. Okay, so you have to be prepared for them. We give you the information, we give you the tools, and then we work with you both in a group setting every day, 2 hours a day, and then unlimited one-on-one mentoring, as often as you need, as much as you need, until you get from where you are to where you want to be. So, to each and every one of you, I look forward to seeing you in the training room tomorrow morning at the opening bell. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.